Hey YouTube, this is Toy Customizer Wakeangel2001 appearing to you live via webcam again. I noticed that the questions are starting to pile up, so even though it's only Friday, I'm going to start answering some now. So the lighting conditions may change, but that's only because there's been more than one recording session. You may also see me change my shirt. But don't worry, I have plenty of Sonic shirts. Alright, so let's start with question number 1. Making Marvel Sonic figures. I'm guessing this is kind of like my Green Lantern Tales, where you're expecting me to make Sonic characters into various Marvel characters. I myself have no future plans on doing that, although a very close friend of mine, Andrew Strappers on DeviantArt, already has started on that project, and he and I actually have plans for a crossover in the near future, so yeah, you can look forward to that. No, buying figures and then sending them to me will not lower the price. But buying a figure and sending it to me in the mail would do is skip you ahead of the queue, get you to the front. It's not going to make the price lower unless, of course, where you live, the figures can be acquired for so cheap that even the cost of shipping would mean it's cheaper than if I were to buy in my area. But my point is that it'll actually cost you slightly more, because then you're going to have to pay for shipping twice. You're going to have to pay for shipping to send it to me, and then you're going to have to pay to get it shipped back. But you do skip the queue, which currently is standing at over 83 people, so that might be worth it. I mean, it could take me a couple of years to get that far. How long have I been at this? Well, if we're going to define this as making custom action figures and not just, general arts and crafts stuff, because I've been doing that since I was a kid, my first custom figure was my original Scourge, which I made November of 2009. That would be the Scourge that I took with me to my first Comic-Con and had the cast of Archie Comics sign it. It's one of my prides, even though it's a primitive old one, which doesn't reflect my best work. But hey, I've gotten a lot better since then. The first figure I sold was a different Scourge, which I did when I briefly had an eBay account. That was in May of 2010. May of 2010, so like 6 months later. So yeah, that's it sold for about $13.50, so really not all that much compared to what I make nowadays. But that's why I stopped using eBay, because it was hard to get noticed there. I wasn't selling things very well, and they charged a $5 invoice every month, which was really cutting into my profits. So I said, screw it. I'll just sell direct. I'll do personal customs, and well, literally like a week after that, in early June of 2010, I got my first actual commission. It was from a YouTube user named, not YouTube user, a DeviantArt user named Hotshot, who wanted me to make a Sonya figure from Sonic Underground, and that was my first commission. So yeah, there you go. First custom I ever made, November 2009. First custom I ever sold,
May 2010. First personal commission I ever had, June 2010. So yeah, I guess those are good dates for my various origin points.
That's kind of a tough choice, but if I had to pick, I'd probably say the Dark Enerjax. Yes, I only ever made two. One I gave as a gift to Ian Flynn, and another one that was a commission. But I think in terms of the character, the look, everything cool about making customs, I really think that Dark Enerjack was my best one. I miss him. I still have my regular Enerjack. He's a permanent part of my collection. But, you know, regular Enerjack, he doesn't have a cape or wires going from his shoulders to his arms. That's, you know. But yeah, if I had to pick one of my customs to be my favorite, it would probably be Dark Enerjack. It's kind of close. I mean, there are a bunch of others I love. I mean, I'm sitting with Mecha Sally right here next to me, but yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Dark Enerjack as my favorite that I've made. Okay, so a Dremel rotary tool. Sonic figures are made out of a fairly soft plastic. It's very latexy. So for cutting, I use an X-Acto knife. Because if you're not careful, you could very well end up melting the plastic and leave obvious marks. However, when I'm cutting large pieces, or like when I'm making a big project, like what I did for the Death Egg robot, I needed to use large cutting implements. The cutting circle is one of the tools I most commonly use. The sanding drum, the fine grain version, is what I use to make things smooth and round after I cut. Like, because if you cut off Sonic's spine, you're going to be left with the stump of a spine. So you use the fine grain sanding drill to, you know, finish the job. And I also use the smaller bits. Let me hold these up to the webcam. Small bits like this. They do useful little things like making small holes, getting very tiny details in there. Of course, to use such a part, you have to be quite dexterous and have a very steady hand. I have trained my hands to be quite steady. So yeah, like, just don't use anything big and raspy. Like, don't use the wire brushes, because that's definitely not meant for action figures. How much are custom figs? Cause I wanna F you, and how would you get it to me? Plies reasoned? Do you actually read the things that you post? I read that out loud so I could show you how dumb you look to me and everyone else on the internet when you don't bother to check your spelling or grammar. I'm sorry if I sound very mean here, but web browsers come with built-in spell checks now. And I don't care if you use letters like U and R to represent words like U and R. I mean, that's shorthand I will accept. But F you? You actually told me that you want to F me! You do realize that you just cursed at me because you couldn't take 3 seconds to check your spelling. Oh, and as for the question about how much they cost, I've already made a video detailing the cost. And I'm not going to repeat myself. I said that in my common etiquette video, that I'm not going to keep repeating myself to answer the same questions over and over, and that how much a figure costs has been said so many times and has been put in actually a couple of videos, so no, I'm not saying anymore. Go look at the video. In case you still don't know, it's a message to commissioners. Yeah, you think if you want to commission me, you might check that video out, the one that says that it's a message for you. Any more giant 11 or 12-inch badniks? I do have plans to make my own, you know, Eggmobile, the hovercraft that Dr. Robotnik rides in, or Dr. Eggman. As for other giant badniks, like the big humanoid badniks, like maybe the first boss from Palm Tree Panic on Sonic CD, or the giant, huge mech that that tries to kill you with its fingers, and then just shoots a giant face laser at you from Sonic and Knuckles, or Big Arm. I know there are still giant robots in the Sonic franchise that have human characteristics, but I have no future plans, at least not in the near future, to make any of those, unless I'm commissioned to, of course. Oh, this is a good one. How did I first get interested in custom figures? It would have to be when I was browsing through DeviantArt, looking for, pictures of Metroid fan art, because Other M had just come out, and I was a big fan of Metroid. Or, might not have been Other M might have just been announced, but not actually have come out. But I digress. Needless to say, I found that besides just fan art, people had also made really nice action figures of Samus Aran. And I thought that was really cool, because Samus Aran is a figure that you typically can't get as a figure. I mean, the Joyride Studios made a figure, but they're out of business now, so good luck finding that. And I believe there's actually a little kit which you can assemble with Hobby Base or Revoltech joints, and that makes a Samus figure, but again, that's kind of hard to find. And later this year, in a few months, they're coming out with a Figma, which is awesome. I've seen it. It's really quite the thing, but it costs like $65. That's even for Samus. I'm not going to spend that much. I mean, I think spending $30 for a Voyager Transformer is quite a lot. So spending $65, that's just out of my price range. Unless I set up a donation pool, so technically you guys would be paying for it. Just kidding. But yeah, so I saw people making really nice custom action figures of her. So I just did another search for custom action figures, and I saw this whole new world of amazing things. Like these are toys that no one else can have, because you made them. And I saw communities like FigureRealm.com, which actually had tutorials and stuff that recommended materials to use and how to make things. And I thought, cool, I'd like to try that. Of course, I kind of sat on that for a while because I didn't know what I was going to do. Then Jazzwares came out with their Sonic line, and back in the old days, the only figures that they had released was Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails. And I heard that on the future horizon they were going to be releasing Silver, Shadow, and the Werehog, and I figured, well, these are all good guys. I mean, what's the good of having an action figure series if you don't have any bad guys for your good guys to fight? So, I mean, what would Batman be without the Joker? Or Spider-Man without Dr. Octopus? These kinds of things. So I realized that, hey, you know what probably will never get made? Bad guys from the comic book. I've been collecting the comic book since I was in the 5th grade, so I just got an extra Sonic figure, and took up some paint and some clays that were recommended. So actually, I had the clays before because I was making little keychains, but I never thought of using that clay to make custom action figures. I was always just saw it making little crafts. So I made my Scourge figure, and the rest is history. So yeah, that's basically how I got interested and how I got my start. Well, the first one's easy. It's Sonic. When I was 6, back in 1991, my mom got me a Sega Genesis for my birthday, which was at the time, the brand new console. It had only been out for a few months. And it had the classic Sonic the Hedgehog not for resale cartridge on it. So that was really I mean, I had an Atari 7200 before then, and I had played Atari 2600 games, but never really gelled with me. I mean, those old Atari games were very crude. We only had a black and white TV, and plus, like I said, the games were crude. I was too young. I died right away. Couldn't really get into them. So the Genesis was for me the first console that was truly mine, and I would be able to play it and not die within 30 seconds of starting the stage. So I've been a fan of Sonic ever since then. So since I was 6, pretty much the entire 20-year run of Sonic, I've been there by his side. As for Zelda and Metroid, well, since I had a Genesis, I didn't have a Super Nintendo, so I wouldn't be getting into any Nintendo properties until I was in middle school and I got my Nintendo 64, which I actually won in an essay contest. I didn't actually buy it. My first game for that system was Star Fox, and I really didn't have any particular interest in most of the famous Nintendo properties, except I believe I played Mega Man 64, which was a port of Mega Man Legends. I found that pretty cool, kind of awkward controls, but I was having a good time. Oh yeah, Mega Man 64, my first Mega Man game. Take that as you will. I played Bomberman Hero. Again, since I didn't have a strong attachment to any Nintendo properties, I didn't really have any idea where to go. Fun fact, I don't own Super Mario 64, and I never even really played it that much. I played a demo in Blockbuster for like 10 minutes, so yeah, I've never really put in a serious play session on Super Mario 64. But when I was in high school, freshman, sophomore, my friend Nigel introduced me to the greatness that was Legend of Zelda when he gave me his old cartridge of Ocarina of Time, and well, that was quite the game changer for me. That really got me into Zelda, and I started to hunt down the games that had come out for the Game Boy and the Game Boy Color. Like, the games I owned for my Game Boy Color? It was Pokemon Yellow, Crystal, and Gold, not in that order, and then pretty much all the Zelda software that came out for it. Link's Awakening, Oracle of Ages, Oracle of Seasons, whatever other Zelda games came out. Like, seriously, that's my Game Boy Color collection. My Game Boy Color collection is that. It's basically like 6 games. I didn't really play a lot of Game Boy Color games. But when I moved on to the Game Boy Advance, that's kind of cheating because a lot of Sonic games came out for the Game Boy Advance. But yeah, I would continue to follow all the great Nintendo properties. As for Metroid, there never was an exclusive Metroid game for the Nintendo 64, which I find really weird. The only time Samus Aran made an appearance on the Nintendo 64 was her character in Super Smash Bros. The first Super Smash Bros. And when it wouldn't be until I was in halfway through high school when Metroid Fusion came out, which by the way is Metroid 4, and I got that I realized that I didn't know until I was like 15 or 16 how influential Metroid actually was to gaming. I actually saw the Castlevania games, which had been nicknamed Metroidvania, although I never personally heard that nickname because I never really bothered to ask since I never heard of Metroid. So, yeah, I've been a fan of Sonic since I was a little kid, but Zelda and Metroid I got into when I was in high school. And right now, they're my big 3. Sonic's my favorite, Link is a close second, and Samus Aran is a close third behind him. By this point, just so you know, I played just about every Zelda game and every Metroid game, except for Metroid 2 Return to Samus, because that was a Game Boy game, and it has not had a re-release on Virtual Console or download that I'm aware of. so I haven't had a chance to play that one. But I played Zero Mission. I played the original one, which you can unlock on the Fusion game. I played everything. I know all the background material, so you don't have to fill me in on any details. Just yeah, they're my big three right now. But I was only really into two of them starting in high school, which, granted, is still just over 10 years, but compare that to the literally double time that I've had Sonic by my side. So yeah, that's how long I've been into those things. Hmm. My favorite Sonic character. Uh, it is a rather close decision because I do like many of the Sonic cast. I know a lot of people say that the series should be just paired back to Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles because that's when the game used to be good. But besides Gary Stu from Sonic X, Chris Thorndike for people who don't get sarcasm, and Retard the Cat. Wow, that was just mean spirited. Yeah. Long story short, I hate those. Chris Thorndike and Big the Cat are the only characters I actually hate. Everyone else I rather like. Even Cream, who doesn't really seem to be there for anything other than to appeal to younger kids in the audience. Seriously, if you played Sonic Advance 2, playing as Cream is God mode. The game becomes way too easy. You can literally beat the final boss by just standing there and pushing the B button. You can beat it with your eyes closed. But who's my favorite? It's got to be Sonic himself. Yeah, I like Sonic himself. I mean, his quote, I never turn back. I got no regrets because time doesn't wait for me. I choose to go my own way. That's a very admirable thing for me. I mean, Sonic is the kind of character I actually find it hilariously ironic about what people say about Sonic and his modern games not being good compared to his classic stuff. Because Sonic himself is the kind of character that wouldn't let negative criticism like that get to him. He's just a cool character who's true to himself and what he likes and what he believes in, and he'll always walk forward with his head held high and a smile on his face, and he won't let anyone else get to him. And I find that to be very great traits. I mean, he accomplishes this without being a silent protagonist. He's not an empty vessel character. I mean, he is who he is. People might say that he's a little bit campy. People might say he's immature. But he says, you know what? I don't really care what you say. I'm happy. And if you can't be happy for me being happy, then, man, it really must suck to be you. So, yeah, I really admire Sonic for that. Not gonna get all weepy here, but yeah, that's basically not only why Sonic is my favorite character from the Sonic franchises, but also why he's my favorite. He's my favorite superhero, and any characters that are like him, like the Flash from the Justice League cartoons, or Rainbow Dash from My Little Pony, anyone, or even Bumblebee from Transformers Animated. Basically, anyone that fits into that basic character trope, they really are cool to me. And I don't know if Sonic did it first, but Sonic has been doing it since he was in the cartoons from 1993, so he was one of the first characters I saw doing it. And, when I look at older cartoons, I can't really pick out a Sonic-like personality. Like, when I look at the old Super Friends cartoons that came out in the 70s, the Flash didn't act like Sonic back then. He didn't act like Sonic until the Bruce Timm Superman cartoon came out in the mid-90s. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure that Sonic's character has become kind of a trope. Sonic is a character archetype, and an archetype that I can really feel good when I hear about. So there you go. my favorite Sonic character. Hmm. I never really made a conscious decision to stop making game reviews. It's just that it seemed like such a hassle for videos that weren't really that good in my opinion. Because I didn't really have a way to record the footage the way that actual game reviewers record it, so they come out all with that horizontal line that forms because of frame flicker, and basically I could just point my camera at the game system or the TV, and that kind of sucks for taking gameplay footage. And really, I'm proud of my Sonic Adventure, not Sonic Adventure, my Sonic Battle review. I like that one because I really think I got the voices good. I had a nice little script written down that was fun. Oh, but really, it seemed like an inordinate amount of effort. Can you tell I have a stuffy nose? I can't say that word. I just don't really have anything to record the footage, and really the things that I want to say about the games is just that people said that this was bad, but no, it wasn't. I still maintain that Sonic Heroes is actually a really good game when I gave it a play, and I enjoyed it. I really did like it. I couldn't really find any technical flaws besides the chaotix missions being stupid. Like the game's scoring and attack system was totally not designed with stealth in mind. So the fact that their missions, quite a few of them, required stealth, that was a big flaw. Plus, they had to try to find objects without any kind of map or radar screen to find the items. So, like, when it took me 2 hours to find those 20 stupid hermit crabs, and I was still sitting on 19 for the past 45 minutes, I realized that, yeah, that they hadn't really completely thought that through. But the other 3 modes, it's basically like easy, regular, and hard mode. It's a good game. And Shadow the Hedgehog, it really, besides the fact that you are playing as one character, it was basically exactly like Sonic Heroes, and it imported everything, both good and bad. The level design was still okay. You had good enemies. You had good hit detection. The auto target for the gun actually worked, but there would be several missions where you'd have to find certain objects, and you were provided with no map or radar screen. So you got a big problem there. But aside from actually, that seems like kind of a big thing to miss. They really shouldn't have made those mistakes. But I digress. I stopped making Sonic game reviews because it just seemed like too much of a hassle to make them. And people liked my custom action figure videos more. They got way more hits. They got way more comments. I just felt like I was being an apologist and a fanboy, and I wasn't really doing as good a job as other game reviewers were. So I said, you know what? I'm not going to copy the Angry Video Game Nerd or anyone else from Channel Awesome. I'm going to do my thing, and my thing became the custom action figures. So there you go. I might do game reviews in the future. I'm not completely closing that venue, but yeah, that's basically my story about game reviews.